All right, welcome back. Welcome back. Real ones know George Romo. We back at it with our updates for the David case. A lot of evidence has come out, some new findings, and we got a few videos we got to go over. So let's get to it.
Waiting trial for the murder of Celeste Rivas Hernandez. It may seem like awkward timing, and maybe it just is, but David's younger brother, Caleb, is launching his own music career right now. In fact, Caleb just dropped a couple of new songs on streaming services and on social media. And while some people...
Yeah, look, I see they may be a little weird. Little bro look like he might be a little zesty, but I'm not judging. He ain't on trial.
People are listening to the music and talking about that. Most people reacting to it online are talking about the case against David. And
me seeing his little brother and seeing how the things that I've seen from David, I gotta wonder like what's up with their parents? Like where these people from? Like what's to them? Because man, they may have some tumultuous things that happen to them as children because they seem a little on the weird side. But let's get to it.
Some people, even without any evidence of this, claiming that they feel Caleb is somehow complicit because he covered up for his brother, that he knew about what was going on with Celeste allegedly, and he helped him cover up.
So one of the things I think people are pointing to is that there is some video, we have a screen grab of it, of the brother with Celeste at one of the concerts backstage, and they're saying, therefore, he must know a lot.
Yes, but
that's pretty much the extent of the evidence.
So Caleb, and I think part of this is he's trying to launch a music career and he wants people to focus on that. So he actually responded to some of the critics and said, I've been wanting to say something for a while, but I have to be careful about what I say as this is an ongoing legal matter. I don't want to make this horrible situation about me. I want justice for Celeste and her family. I've seen people say that I knew what was going on and was protecting my brother. This is not true at all.
So I wonder what that means to say, I want justice for Celeste and her family. Does that mean that he is aligned with his brother? Because he could say, I also want justice for my brother.
Sure seems that way.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, he doesn't say, I want my brother to be exonerated. He says, I want justice for her.
That's a huge statement. I want justice for Celeste, but he never mentions his brother.
I will say...
Well, I'm sure that's where he said, I have to be careful. He probably was told, he could say, don't say anything about his brother.
Well, he could...
And that's my thing. Like, why are you even speaking? I wouldn't care about what people are saying. I would ignore it because it's an open case, pending trial. So why are you even speaking about it? Unless you know something. You said you wanted to wait. You wanted to say something for a while. But so what does that even mean? And is it possible that his brother knew? At least he knew she was underage, maybe. I don't know how old the brother is, but maybe he knew she was underage and he didn't say nothing. But he's younger, but I don't know, it's a very strange thing, but let's keep going.
I want justice for everybody, my Celeste and my brother. But he didn't say that.
He's also said that he doesn't really have a close relationship with David anyway.
I will say,
regardless of this.
I got to say, don't gloss over him saying, I want justice for Celeste.
I agree. I think there's something there. But I will say that
Yeah, that is kind of, if he doesn't have a close relationship with his brother. So, it's possible they could be, share probably same mother, same father, or only share one parent and they didn't live together. It's possible. But that is kind of interesting that he would say he wants justice for Celeste. It's interesting, and he's not close with his brother. It's strange.
Was seen with Celeste. She was 13, 14, 15 years old when with David. It's hard to be around that and not think there's something going on.
I will say this, that we talked to people who were at parties with them.
Yeah.
They thought she was 19 years old. It's kind of crazy. I know.
Based on anything other than
the way she looked.
Just the way she looked and acted. That they said she presented
so
much
David
older.
may have known how old she was, but the others
we know, well,
maybe he did, maybe he didn't. I don't know. But
according to prosecutors, he did know at a point when
he knew.
Contest,
That's right.
David knew.
That's right. But in terms of people, and maybe his brother, we don't know. We don't know.
Hey, it's Kristen from Miami. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm one of the people that unfortunately does find him complicit, and to even say, or for anybody to be.
See, people like her just want everybody guilty. You know what I mean? He's complicit. I mean, we don't know what he knows. And if some people saying they thought she was 19, I haven't really looked at her to try to gauge if she looked older. You know, you can't really tell by pictures. But if she's acting older, and these are also young kids, they wouldn't know what a 19-year-old would act like necessarily. If they 17 and like 18, 19, necessarily they wouldn't know, you know, especially if she's with the older guy and she kind of acts older. So I don't know. I haven't really looked at her to try to gauge how old she looked. But let's continue.
Like, oh, she looked older. That's ridiculous. Anybody who's seen a picture of Celeste knows that she looked 12 years old. And I get that he's coming.
I could maybe, I mean, I could see. I don't know. It's kind of hard to gauge just from a picture if she looks 12 or 16, or because I think he was 17, he started dealing with her. So I think maybe he's 21 now, maybe, or 20. I'm really, I mean, the whole story is it's a crazy situation. So the thing is this: it's easy for people to say she looks 12 or whatever the case, but we talking about her being around people that are other people that are kids, and if she's acting more mature, they may not be able to tell. And even if they thought she looked 12, but she said she's 19, these are kids that we're talking about. So if she's saying she's 19 and she's with this older guy, they probably, and he's the famous guy. They're not asking too many questions. And they're not trying to figure out like, well, maybe she's really 12. Like nobody really thinking about that. I don't think.
Out here trying to be like, oh, you know, I'm releasing this music career that's affecting me. This just feels like you're only mad because it's affecting you now. When you were in the room with this little girl, you didn't say anything. You didn't even ask her for her age. You didn't know her age yet. You were 15. You were old enough to ask her age. You were old enough to know that was a young girl. You're 15. You can tell she's younger than you. And you couldn't even come up and be like, hey, honey, how are you? How old are you? Talk to her, like figure things out.
So he started dealing with her at 15. He was 15.
Say something to someone, and he didn't. And only now, when it's affecting his career, is it an issue for him? Only now it's like, I want justice for Celeste. You didn't want justice when you were in the room with her. And I'm sorry, I get this whole like, oh, she looks older. No,
and I guess she's talking about his brother. Why would his brother be questioning whoever his girlfriend? Like, why would, and if he's the younger brother, why would he be questioning his older brother's girlfriend? How old are you? Like, you know, like people are kind of, you know, I mean, it's a pile on effect. That's what it is. I mean, he's guilty until proven innocent, basically. And I don't have a pick one way or the other, but I like to call it fair. And what I heard people saying that she looked older when the story first started circulating, and people said she had a fake ID. So to try to attack this dude, like I don't know if he knows something, but to try to attack him and make him complicit, I guess you want him to get charges too, is ridiculous because you don't know, especially before the trial. You don't know anything. We don't even know if dude did it.
She was 12. She didn't even go through puberty yet. She was a kid. Anybody who's seen a picture of her can tell she's a 12-year-old little girl. I think everybody who did not help.
It's just like people like this is how people don't get fair trials, because of people like this. Like, she's belligerent. She don't have all the facts. She's just going off of impulse and emotion. So let me see if I can skip here. I don't really want to hear her talking much more.
That was well presented. Coming up, you know the scene from.
All right, so that's another video I want to look at. That's the end of that one. And yeah, I don't think she was well presented. She sounded emotional and erratic, and I didn't care for her very much. But this other video that I wanted to take a look at. Let's see. I got a couple of videos that I want to take a look at and just get down to it with all the information. Because, you know, once again, he's innocent. He's guilty until proven innocent. What it seems like. And now the evidence does look bad, but no, I feel like we got to go through it. We can't just, just call him guilty off the bat. But we got law and crime, and they have 5 pieces of forensic evidence haunting David's murder case.
Investigator Joseph Scott Morgan to go over the latest developments in the David murder case, issues involving whether is there evidence leading up to a major hearing on the horizon. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Forensics, analyzing the science, the body, the crime scene. It is I did a really super short opening so I could have a lot of time with you because I have a lot of questions. I don't know if you and I even talked about the medical examiner's report of the autopsy here on Sidebar. Just general impressions about that, because I do wonder, it tells us a lot, but then there's aspects of it I do wonder, how do investigators, how do authorities know this? So for example, prosecutors say in their brief, defendant stabbed the victim to death multiple times and stood by while she bled out. How do they know that? How do they know that? And I also wonder specifically if...
And that's the thing, we let the forensic guy speak about it, but that's the thing. Like when you put stuff like that in the paperwork and people, I'm not a fan of just, all of the clickbait and all the most salacious stuff and taking it and running with it as if it's fact. Because if they don't have a witness, how do they know he stabbed her and watched her bleed out? It makes it sound super awful, and you're starting to taint the jury pool because everybody's going to hear about this prior to the case. So now everybody has heard how awful all of this stuff is, and people are speaking as if he's guilty already. So that's the thing I don't like. But let's continue.
I'm correct, they don't have the murder weapon.
No, to the best of my knowledge, they don't. And
also, like he said, they don't have the murder weapon. So this is what I mean. They don't even have a murder weapon, but they know how she died. And they could tell you what he did while she was dying. Like, I would like justice for it, and if he did it, I would like him to get whatever he has coming to him. But if we got to play dirty tactics to solve a case, I don't like it.
Yeah, but back to that earlier point, how do they know that he stood there? Because look, I got to tell you, as an old investigator, you know where I get that kind of information from? It's not from the perpetrator. To say someone stands there and watches an individual bleed out, that comes from a witness. And that's the one thing that's left me scratching my head over all of this. You know how? Because that is a huge leap. If you're talking about an investigative descriptor, that is such a leap to make that affirmative statement. Because I can tell you, when their feet are put to the fire relative to any kind of trial that's going to come about, that question is going to be asked and it is going to have to be answered. You said in the report right here that he stood there while she bled out. So unless they have internal cameras that bore witness to this, unless there was something that was caught on a Tesla, that's the only other path I can really go down relative to that.
Unless they're just assuming this based on the idea of, look, we can say multiple penetrating wounds, right? I believe that's what they said the cause of death was. And they're saying we're putting two together, right? She allegedly came to the house at this time. We know that he allegedly sent a text to her phone 20 minutes later. We believe a sharp instrument was used. And so we are saying, of course, he stabbed her. And if he stabbed her, of course, he just waited for her to bleed out because he allegedly never called 911 or authorities. And so that's what they're assuming. But you're saying, in your experience, they shouldn't or wouldn't make that statement. There was no need to make that statement unless they have some sort of information.
Yeah, man, it's just such a huge leap, to go down that road. For me, and I'm going to tell you that is going to have to be revealed in court. And
And again, like you said, that's going to have to be proven in court, because that is a huge leap, especially if we don't have a murder weapon and also we don't have a witness. That's a huge leap to say that's what happened. Like, so I don't know how good his defense team is, but we'll see if they'll be able, because it's a lot of reasonable doubt that I can see already. But we'll see what all the evidence is when the trials comes along. Let's continue.
As well as anybody, that you cannot just kind of in some kind of pedestrian manner, just go by and say, yeah, well, this is what happened. You're going to have to explain that. I mean, because people are going to want to know. This is arguably one of the most gruesome things that we've covered in some time. And I'm not saying it doesn't matter what people think, but I think that even the court is going to want that explained. If defense looks at this and said, how do they know that? They can't just say, well, we just know. They're going to have to lay that down, the facts, right? Just like in forensic science, we like to deal with the facts. We like to deal with those absolutes. When you get inside the courtroom, you have to state the facts of the case. And this is what they're saying is a fact of the case. So I'm going to be fascinated to see how this is explained, because I don't know, man. Inquiring minds want to know, right?
This goes to another part, and correct me if I'm wrong, and I talked to Steve Fisher about this on my News Nation show. There was no cleaning supplies, right? There's no evidence that, as far as I can see in the filings, that there was this massive cleanup and luminol and things like that. And you're talking about a very graphic alleged crime of stabbing and then dismemberment.
And that also, no cleaning supplies. They couldn't find, but they make it sound like this was very gory and it was very nasty, but there were no cleaning supplies that they found. Did they see him order some stuff? Because I think you need specific cleaning supplies to get blood and all of these things up. So this is what I'm saying.
So the reason I'm bringing this up is Steve has put forward this idea, a question about whether or not this killing happened, this alleged killing, this alleged murder happened in the house, that she arrives 20 minutes later. He sends an alibi text. So this is from the prosecution's filing, and then I'll read you what Steve said. Despite knowing she was dead and her family was trying to find her, the evidence will show defendant lied and claimed he didn't know where she was. In fact, defendant drove to Santa Barbara County immediately after the victim died, attempting to dispose of her property and destroy evidence. At approximately 11:30 p.m. on April 23rd, 2025, he drove away from his home as he texted and called the victim's phone, asking where she was. Again, these were acts calculated and planned to set up his defense within a very short timeline after the victim's vicious murder. Defendant drove his Tesla north on the 101 freeway to San Marcos Pass Road, SR 154, near Lake Cachuma in Santa Barbara County. He returned home early the following morning on April 24, 2025, before going to a radio interview for the release of his album that week. He sent 2 additional texts to the victim's phone that day, which obviously went unanswered because she was already dead. After April 26, 2025, defendant never attempted to contact her again. May 8, 2025, defendant returned to the same area in Santa Barbara County, leaving his home at around 11:30 p.m. He returned to the area again on May 31st, 2025. This is an isolated site off SR 154, where the victim's identification was subsequently discovered in January 2026. Additionally, on July 7th, 2025, defendant ordered and subsequently Amazon delivered a burn cage to his home under the same fake name as part of his plan to incinerate evidence. Defendant's cellular activity and communications derived from defendant's phone and Tesla demonstrate defendant's activities from April 22nd to April 24th, including a trip to Santa Barbara in the middle of the night after the victim arrived at his Hollywood Hills home. Steve Fisher posted, "Can't stop thinking about the timeline of the murder of Celeste Rivas Hernandez," and put forward in the pre-trial brief. Could the 10:30 p.m. "where are you" text messages actually be real and not a staged alibi? Could Celeste have walked away after an argument upon arriving in the Uber? Maybe those texts from David asking where she was were real, and after he didn't receive a response, he went looking for her, found her, and they ended up driving to Santa Barbara County where the killing actually occurred. He could have shut her phone off when finding her. In that scenario, her body could have remained along SR 154 for the roughly 12 days until the pool, body bag, laundry bags, and chainsaws were ordered and delivered. It is also worth noting that the pool was ordered after her death, meaning it would not have contained blood from the actual killing. The DA's version of events is a very compressed timeline. Arrival at 10:10 p.m., a fatal stabbing, and then being composed enough to send an alibi text by 10:30 p.m. That is a 20-minute window. They also claimed the trip to Santa Barbara that evening was to start disposing of evidence. However, the evidence had not even been purchased yet. The pool, chainsaw, shovel, and other items had not even been ordered at the time of the first Santa Barbara trip. There's also the question of storing a body at his manager Josh Marshall's rental house for 12 days while waiting for...
And look at that. That he drove to Santa Barbara to dispose of the body, but the items that they claim he used to dispose of the body hadn't even been ordered yet. This is what I'm saying. The details of this case, if he has a good defense attorney or defense team, I think it's going to be, they're going to have some real rock solid stuff that they're going to drop come time for the trial, because, or maybe a witness or two, because just hearing that is, it's cause for concern of what kind of case. And I'm seeing why they were having such a hard time getting a grand jury to indict this person, because a lot of these things don't line up. It sounds like, hey, you're red-handed with, they put it all on the table, but when we get to breaking down what they're saying, it's not lining up.
Schools where nearby neighbors and decomposition odors likely becoming noticeable within a few days, all while David was out of town and having to trust that nobody would enter a house that wasn't even leased to him. None of this changes the central point that David is responsible. He killed Celeste. That I am certain of. Like I said, the DA is likely correct in their theory. They are working with all the evidence. Hashtag David, hashtag Celeste Rivas Hernandez. So talk to me about that. I mean, in the idea of,
like they said, he was leasing a house or renting a house, and he went and left on tour, not certain that someone would go in the house while he was gone. Like, all of that is reasonable doubt. I'm sorry.
the compressed timeline, I haven't seen evidence of this massive cleanup. And I wonder, despite what the prosecution's saying, do you believe there's enough evidence that this alleged killing happened in the house?
There was a sufficient amount of time for there to have been a cleanup affected. Okay. And here's the thing that I can't get past with that. And I think Steve has done a fantastic job. I've been on a number of platforms with him, spoken with him extensively, because he's really been the only insight that we've had, right? I mean, truly, from that perspective, because he was eyes on. And one of his big points along the way is that I can't remember if he luminoled or blue starred. He had made the statement to me, the residents in those areas, and he didn't get hit relative to anything that would indicate that there was blood in the garage. Again, we're going back to what the authorities are stating here in the affirmative, that it took place in the garage. Well, how do you know that? And it brings me back to the thought of the chainsaw. With a chainsaw, from a utility, is a very messy device to use, and it creates a storm of things of evidentiary value. So where did all of that go? I've thought about, was it the backyard perhaps? Not kind of thinking, what's more reasonable, that he would go to Santa Barbara. And Santa Barbara County, I've been there a couple of times. Yeah, I mean, you can say that it's right up the road, but is it really up the road? And why would you go that far? I don't understand that. To deposit evidence or any kind of ID and things like this. I know I'm kind of
like that. They said he possibly used a chainsaw, and using a chainsaw would be very messy. And I'm not sure where he lived, but he went up to Santa Barbara County, and they say, I mean, why would he drive that far? And he still didn't discard the body, obviously. So a lot of this stuff is like, come on, man. Let's like kind of make sense of it.
Bouncing around. But the other bit of evidence here is that, why would you need a pool? Are you going to go out there and inflate a pool in order to facilitate this? They also talk about, in the filings, they talk about that there was bits of blue plastic that are embedded into these injuries. I can see that. I understand why there would be. A chainsaw moves at 14,000, 15,000 RPM. All right. So it's going to chew through just about anything, not just, human tissue, but if you've got an underlying kiddie pool, it's going to go through that as well. And then the idea that it would get embedded into the insults, into the injuries, it makes sense. I could see that happening. Now, the criminalists actually have those bits. It's not just, that's not for the forensic pathologist to talk about tying things back relative to the forensics there. They have those bits already. Matter of fact, there was criminalists at the scene. In the car lot, they actually had criminalists present, I think, at autopsy. They talk about at autopsy, those bits are turned over. So how are you going to go about explaining that? What's the utility of a kiddie pool out in some remote area? Why not just do it on bare earth out there? And again, thinking as a forensics guy, I'm trying to understand the utility of all of this. It seems like you're really using you in the universal sense here. You're really going a long way around the barn here in order to facilitate, the killing and dismemberment. So I honestly, I don't know. It's
right.
It's baffling to me.
Well, look, I think the perch.
And I think that's it with that video that I wanted to see. But just, a lot of the things, not saying that he's a trained criminal, that he would be intelligent in doing something like that or what to do, but it's a lot that's being done or alleged to have been done that it's kind of not adding up. Once again, the salaciousness of it, I understand why people are taking to it, but the salaciousness of it is what is drawing people in. But if we just get down to the facts, is like, I don't know how much is there. Now, I want to show this this DJ Academics interview he did with Vlad speaking on it. And he said some stuff that I thought was interesting.
David, the singer, has been arrested. I guess they found a mountain of child porn.
And I might have to speed this one up. I don't know if Vlad clipping or not. Let me do a little bit faster. I don't want no issues with Vlad. So bear with me. We got it going a little bit faster.
Porn on his phone. Yeah. Which is insane to me. Like, that you're probably going to get arrested sometime soon. Why not get rid of that shit? Seriously. Like, I don't fucking, not to say that he should have had it in the first place, because all that shit is disgusting. But
I don't think they found it on his actual phone. I think they probably subpoenaed his iCloud a long time ago.
Oh, right.
So they probably seized it. They got it already without having the phone.
Do you think that he's going to get convicted? Or do you think they spent this long because they don't really have something on him? It's very...
Okay, so I'm going to give a multifaceted answer. I think it's both. He's 100% going to get convicted.
He's faced the death penalty.
I don't think he's going to get that. I think he's...
Now, see, with him saying that's the problem. Because, and I'm let me let him finish before I interject, because he said something that I agree with.
Definitely going to get convicted, but this is where the media comes in. Everything around the case is so disgusting that there's no jury that's going to go get seated and actually say, you know what, this kid could probably just be set up. It's a disgusting, vile case. Even if you want to say, we don't know if he killed her, it's disgusting that he was like 19, she's 14. There's so many things that would repulse someone. You can't separate maybe your thoughts of how your morality from actually just saying, well, these things don't line up. So he's getting convicted. And obviously it's not only the murder, obviously there's sex with a minor and obviously some of the child pornography stuff. So he's definitely going away. However, I do think that they don't have much.
Yeah, that's what I think too.
Yeah, they don't have much.
That's what I think too. You have a dead body and you have a connection, but they don't actually have the murder occurring.
Yeah, they don't know exactly where the murder occurred.
Yeah.
They don't know what the weapon was.
Right. Well, I guess it was a knife. I guess she had like 2 puncture wounds or something like that.
Well, it's something that obviously pierced her skin and created a stab wound, but we don't know what that is. That could be a knife. It could be some type of all they could say is it had a smooth blade, which would say it's a knife, but you don't know what it was, right? Both of the wounds were in different lengths, which if it's a blade of a knife and it goes through, it would normally have around the same length. So you really don't know what it is. Again, it's trying to
And that also, he pointed that out. See what I mean? They don't know what the weapon was or what happened. You know what I mean? We don't know if this was, I don't want to speculate, but we don't know what the weapon was. So he pointed that out. But as he said, with the media, and not just the mainstream media, the social media, everything that's going on online with everybody talking about it, this is making it, and it's so gory and disgusting that people are looking at like, oh my God, this is a monster. It's a million videos with people saying how David's a monster. And they're going back, pulling his old Discord, his old videos, his old live streams. And they're painting this picture of him. So by the time they have the trial, I mean, they don't have to show much. Just say his name and say the girl's name and the age, and he did it. Guilty.
Create the scene is very difficult.
Right. The body's decomposed. Like,
yes.
It's a big uphill, hill to climb for the prosecution.
I think with this one, he gets convicted based on,
circumstantial evidence.
Well, obviously circumstantial evidence, but I think the media and just the community where people are so repulsed by this, it's like one of those, like, in most cases, they're saying you're innocent until proven guilty. I think in this case, they're like, his lawyers better give us a fucking reason why he ain't do this shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, with Diddy case, it was like, they didn't really present a case, so they were like, all right, well, you guys need to prove that we did it. I think this David situation, I think we're so upset at it, and it's so disgusting. We're like, Motherfucker, you better tell us where you were on that fucking night. You better tell it. You better show us some shit that makes us think otherwise. Otherwise, we'll be okay with just like letting you go down.
Yeah, what's interesting is that David's brother posted all should die, period. And you know who's getting tagged?
Who?
In those posts?
His brother.
No.
Who?
Nicki Minaj.
Oh my God. Yo, what?
Yeah, he going to the stuff, but and his brother once again, like what like I don't know what's to him. You know what I mean? Maybe, you know, and I guess we kind of know that he was dealing with the girl as a kid. So we kind of know. I mean, I don't know if that technical terms that is a pedophile, but we know he was messing with a underage person. So you know, it's kind of messed up, man. His brother, like damn, like you kicking his back in, like, you know what I'm saying? He kicking his back in, but that's funny though.
Yes. Nicki Minaj, people attack Nicki Minaj saying, look, it's not that hard. Why don't you do this?
Oh yeah, I forgot Nicki's brother went through that too.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Well, Nicki's brother didn't kill the girl.
Honestly, if you're looking towards Nicki Minaj to get,
don't hold your breath.
You don't hold your breath, bro.
Plus, I think from Nicki's point of view, for a bunch of money, which makes her.
And you know,
all right, that's it with that. I think they're just gonna start talking about Nicki, but DJ Academics, you know, he pointed out something about the media and how the media will make this, you know, make this case. But this last video I want to go through is Trap Lord Ross, and he's been following, and he, you know, he's not from here, and he's gonna put out the most salacious stuff. Like for him, you know, it's content for him. Like, and he don't really care for real. So I think it's two more videos, this one and one more that I want to go through. And I got him sped up, and he got a little accent, so you got to pay attention.
And question marks still surround the David case is exactly what was going on behind the scenes with David and Celeste's relationship. We've seen enough evidence to suggest that he was seemingly in a relationship with this minor who was only 14 when she lost her life and was brutally murdered and cut up and put in the trunk of this idiot's Tesla. But one of the big things that has really been kind of muddying the waters with regards to the relationship between Celeste
and see, here he is. He calling him an idiot. Like, so he's calling him, he's guilty off the bat. It don't matter what the evidence. It don't matter. It doesn't matter how if stuff doesn't line up. He's guilty off the bat. That's interesting.
David is the rumors of pregnancy. Now, obviously, she's a minor. Any sexual interactions between him and her are illegal, statutory, right? Ain't no debate, ain't no consent, it's not even possible. But apparently, according to prosecutors, there have been, you know, messages between them that suggest maybe a pregnancy had occurred, maybe an abortion was being planned, maybe Plan B contraceptive was being used, these kinds of things. And it's still not conclusive as to whether this was true. It seems to suggest from the prosecution, at least on conversations that David was having, that there was some kind of pregnancy scare, but we don't know the full facts at this stage. So in this video, I'm going to dig a little bit deeper into the theory, some of the evidence, some of the discussion around Celeste being pregnant, potentially at the time of the murder, and that might give even more motive to why David could have allegedly murdered this little girl, because she might have been pregnant with his child, and that would have been pretty bad for the career. She was apparently threatening to ruin his career. If she was pregnant, hey, that would be even worse. Okay, and I'm not saying it's okay. I'm not saying that. Disgusting, all disgusting. And if that was true, it just makes the story even more despicable and disgusting. So this is TMZ's reporting from about just over a week ago. Okay, it's a David murder case. Unknown if Celeste was pregnant. The death certificate updated. So this is really interesting. They announced that the death certificate on Celeste Rivas Hernandez was actually updated. So there's some important notes and updates in the death certificate for Celeste. The document now reflects.
And if you remember, you should go back, take a look at it. One of the other videos I did on the case where they said she definitely wasn't pregnant, and then they changed it on the death certificate to a U as unknown, and people were saying, what changed? Like, what did you find that made this unknown now? Because what it looks like, you're trying to make this look as gruesome as possible. Oh, he killed this girl. She's a young girl, and she was also pregnant, so he killed two people. So I don't really trust it. And then we got the guys like Trap Ross. He gonna juice it. He gonna juice it up. But let's continue.
That's the fact that the LA County Medical Examiner says she was murdered, and it's now unknown if she'd been pregnant in the year before she was killed. TMZ obtained a new death certificate, and it no longer says she was not pregnant. Now that section is marked U for unknown. The new certificate says
it says she was not pregnant before. Now it's unknown. What changed? What did they find that suggested that she may have been pregnant? This is what I'm saying. This is that, like stuff like that. When I'm seeing like all of these things, I'm seeing makes me feel like it may be something else that they may be hiding. And this kid, this dude, he may not have done it. When I'm seeing all of this stuff that's done, like if he did it, it should be easy to convict him. Like if the evidence is so massive as they're saying, it should be easy to convict him. We shouldn't have to have all this salaciousness and all this trickery that's going on. That's my thing with it.
Of death has been corrected from deferred to multiple penetrating injuries, and the manner of death is updated from pending investigation to homicide. The document was also corrected to say the injury date, hour, place, and location were unknown, with the section stating describe how injury occurred, events which resulted in injury now says with objects. So this opens the door to the possibility that she was pregnant at the time. Now, I did see some comments on Reddit suggesting that, this can be a bit of a normal thing when it comes to autopsies and death certificates. A lot of women can get marked unknown for pregnancy. That's, yes, it's not definite, but it's not no either. So it's a possibility, according.
So see, I mean, and this is what he wants to play up on. It's not a no either. But if they in the beginning they said she was definitely not pregnant, and now they change it to a you, that's problematic because I need that to be explained. Like, why did they change it? Like, what did you see to make this unknown all of a sudden? That's what I need to know, because it's either she was or she wasn't. You understand? Unless it's just a formality. But if it's just a formality, we shouldn't be speaking as if she was, because I think he got this video titled Celeste was pregnant. This is what I'm saying. This is what academics just spoke about with the media. Let me stop playing him, because he he kind of like a like an opportunist when it comes to the culture. Now this one lady, and she's the same as he was. Nancy Grace. She's the worst. But she had this interesting video title. Let me play the video.
Bombshell tonight, the musician D4vd, aka David Anthony Burke, caught on video with a human finger. This, as from behind bars, he, D4vd, demands his own personal glam squad. Yes, he wants.
And look at her. Like this lady here, every chance she gets, she wants to demonize black men. That's one. And secondly, if it's something that a man supposedly did, she demonizing them, she villainizing them, she stepping on them. So look at her, how animated she is.
Say glow up, a makeover for the courtroom. Good evening. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. I want to thank you for being with us.
I am announcing the charges against David Anthony Burke.
For other things to worry about? Should he be gnashing his teeth and twisting his tail about the evidence pouring in against him? This, as we learn, the feds are eyeing jurisdiction. Yeah, you don't play with the feds because they don't play with you. If the feds are in on this, and I have reason to believe they may be, and I'll tell you why with our attorney, Randolph Rice, he's in, let's just say, a whole heap of trouble, but instead, he's orchestrating a glow up from behind bars. We'll get to that, but first, is D4vd, the multimillionaire musician, caught on camera wrapping up a human finger?
David Vlog Day 11, currently wrapping up the one and only original Sakunis finger from Jujutsu Kaisen. And yeah, about to do some vocal warm-ups.
Okay, I need to see that again. He apparently is wrapping up a.
You see, look at that. It's obviously not a real finger, obviously. But Nancy Grace, she has a sizable following. Let me see. On YouTube, she has almost 1 million subscribers. She's been on Fox News, if I'm not mistaken. I think she may still be on television. Has a pretty popular podcast. And This is what DJ Academics was speaking about, how the media is going to paint him, and this is destroy him.
Finger. Let me see it again.
David Vlog Day 11, currently wrapping up the one and only original Sakuna's Finger from Jujutsu Kaisen. And yeah, about to see some vocal warm-up.
And that is from the D4vd tour video. Okay, let me get the dates right. Joining me, Susan Hendricks, investigative reporter, journalist, author of a bestseller, Down the Hill, My Descent into the Double Murder in Delphi. Susan Hendricks, he was going on tour, remember? Mm-hmm. Celeste was murdered just before his Withered tour. He was getting ready for the tour, and he was putting out all types of promotional videos. She was murdered just before he dropped the album and went on the tour. And after intense public outcry, after Celeste's body is found in his Tesla, let's just refresh everyone's recollection and show the Tesla in the impound parking lot where it smelled so badly, they opened the trunk and found the dead body. Why, Susan Hendricks, is he wrapping what appears to be a human finger?
I think everything with this guy is symbolic. He's shoving it in our faces. So let's say it's a human finger or a plastic finger. I think he knows what he's doing because, as you know, Celeste's fingers were not found when her body was discovered, 2 of her fingers. So I think he was enabled. He did what he wanted to do. He had merch that had blood all over, white shirts. He pulled that once cops started searching his house months later. But I think he did what he wanted to do, and he had the support of an entourage.
Guys, you're seeing video from D4vd's tour on TikTok. Is this part of the promotional video he's pushing out there that looks to be in his home where we believe, isn't this right, Dave Mack, Crime Stories investigative reporter? According to the court documents, prosecutors are saying she, Celeste, was killed in that home where we believe that finger wrapping videos was recorded. He's like, what, a few feet away?
Now, see, look, I mean, obviously, you see, this is the propaganda. And look at how intense she is. Like, he's really wrapping a real finger. Like, no evidence of that. And just like I went through and just now, watch people breaking down what's said in the paperwork and the things that don't line up. She has a staff. She's done that. But she's taking the most salacious parts because she wants to convict him. If I'm not mistaken, Nancy Grace was the person with Michael Jackson was on trial back in the early 2000s for some kind of whatever kind of crime they were trying to get Mike for. She was the person reporting that Michael was guilty and he's going to get found guilty because it's a federal trial. She was the one coming out and reporting every day, oh, Michael's guilty. And so everybody thought Michael, it was over with. Then he beat the case and everybody was surprised. This is this person. So I really played her just to show what the media is doing with this case, because we've seen this a million times, how the media portrays things. And that's the main reason I wanted to play this video, because I already knew what type of time she was on. Like, look at her. Old hag, evil. Yeah. So that's it for the update. I just wanted to look at some of the evidence and get some logic behind what we're seeing in the case and how things don't necessarily line up with what they're telling us. And then I wanted to show you what the media, how the media is affecting this case. So like, share the video with your friends and family, subscribe to the channel, get in the comment section, and let me know what you think, how you feel about it. And we'll be back with another update soon. Real ones know. We gone.
Now we way up, count it up to the day up. Real ones never change up. We just stack it, get our way up. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Real ones know.